G'day guys, Neil here from Player One Sim again. Today I'm stoked to be bringing you something entirely new from the team at Simagic. These are the all-new P500 pedals. These new P500 pedals are designed to be more of an entry-level offering into the Simagic lineup to complement the existing P1000 and P2000 pedal sets. These new pedals really punch above their weight. They're coming in at around half the price point of the P1000's, while also including a lot of the same technology and customization options. So let's dive in, check them out. Alright, so let's get started by checking out the pedals themselves. The first thing you notice are, like any Simagic product, the P500's are incredibly well put together. Build quality has been a hallmark of the Simagic brand since day one, and these new pedals are no exception to that. So Simagic have gone for a standardized look across these pedals. So the actual clutch, brake and accelerator pedal are all made exactly the same. They're essentially the same pedal. What they've done is they've just changed the electronics that's delivered within each of those pedals to define their role. They've gone for an all-metal construction with like a brushed aluminium look on the individual pedals and then kind of like a more shiny gloss aluminium on the cylinders behind them. Okay, so let's take a look at them in detail. So for starters, the pedal base is quite robust. You can see what they've done is included the control box built into the pedal base, so that's not a module that needs to be added on for these, it comes as standard. They've also got a couple of high grip tabs here so that the pedal plate can be mounted on carpet if you need to. And there's a really cool wall mount that's going to come with these pedals, designed specifically for racers who want to use this as underneath a desk with a desk mounted setup. The pedal plate's got a good level of rise up to the heel plate, which again is built in. So this all comes as one piece out of the box. So taking a look at the pedals, you can see they've really standardized the design of the pedals. So this here is the brake on this side, and this is the throttle. From an exterior side, they look pretty much exactly the same. The difference is that they've included both a load cell and a Hall sensor inside the brake, whereas the throttle is driven just by the Hall sensor. Now these pedals are really simple to adjust. Basically all you do is you pull that part away, and you can see that part there just sits in against the bar on the back of the pedal there. And this part unscrews. So there's a range of springs that can be used to change the feel of the pedals, and these springs are interchangeable between all of the pedals because they all have the same cylinder mechanism. There's also a little tool provided if you need it, just to help you get that and to help you click that into place. Now the brake is a little bit different. With the brake, you can see you also have the power lead for the load cell here. So to increase resistance on the brake, you have an additional elastomer, which you can see here. And these can slide into the spring, like so, to provide that additional resistance. That then goes inside, like so, and then you screw it on just as you did with the others. And that clips into place just like that. So for attaching onto the base, you simply feed the wires through the guide holes there. Throttle here in green and the brake in white and yellow. To access these 4 bolts, you just need to pop off this front cover off the heel plate. By default, the P500's come as a 2-pedal set, designed to be obviously just a brake and a throttle. You can absolutely though add on a clutch, which is sold separately. You can see this here. And the clutch again comes with a couple of different spring options for you. It's basically just the exact same pedal design as with the throttle and the brake. This one's just wired in for the clutch. Hey, before we put these on the rig, let's do a quick comparison of how they stack up against their big brother, the P1000's. It's hard to compete in a looks competition versus the P1000's because they're such a good looking rooster of a pedal set. I've always been a huge fan of the way they combine the matte black with the deep red accents and the silver touches on the back here and a little bit of gloss black thrown in there as well for contrast. The P1000's are just a really good looking set of pedals. They've also got that industrial modular style. You can tell they're designed to be bolted together, and that looks pretty cool in a sim racing setup. The P500's by comparison, they're no slouch definitely, but they don't have that rugged industrial look of the P1000's. The P500's are kind of a sleeker design. They look very much like a single set of pedals rather than a modular package like the P1000's do. They don't have any of the red accents, they don't have any of the gloss black on there as well to provide that little bit of flair from a looks perspective. But look, that's fine, that's what you'd expect from a more entry-level set of pedals. But overall, what you get is a really neat and tidy package with the P500's. It's about the same size as the P1000's. You can see if I hold them both up next to each other. You can see they stack up very similar in terms of their footprint on the desk. What you do notice though is the height is a big difference. So you can see from a height perspective, the P1000's are a lot taller as a pedal, whereas these P500's are a much shorter pedal design. So it's going to be interesting to see how that translates on the rig in terms of feel when driving. Okay, before we jump on the rig actually, let's just check out the software. So if you're familiar with the Simpro software from Simagic, it's a really well put together and I guess really comprehensive software suite that governs all of the different Simagic components, from their wheelbases through to their wheels, through to all of their peripherals and of course their pedals. You can customize pretty much everything that can be customized in terms of setting up the different curves that you want for your inputs, mapping your dead zones, putting in place different configurations for different game profiles that you want to run. You can do all of that really easily in the Simagic Simpro software. You can see here you can set the dead zones on the brakes, you can map different response curves, you can choose between the load cell or the angle models, either using the load cell or the hall sensor. So essentially, really comprehensive software. Anyone who's used it before will attest to that it sort of does everything you need it to do. And yeah, it's a key part, I guess, of the Simagic ecosystem that I thoroughly recommend. Okay guys, so there we go. That's the first hour or so spent testing the P500's. I gotta say, first impressions, really impressed with these pedals. A couple of things to point out. So the first thing is the throttle. Nice smooth throttle feel, and that's very much a function of the quality of the components that they're using. Simagic are obviously well versed on their technology. The Simpro software does a great job of translating the input from the sensors. So what you're getting is a nice smooth throttle application. There was no stuttering or any jolting at all with the application of the throttle. Spring feels nice. It's a very similar range of throw to what I'm used to from the P1000's that I've used. So yeah, no problems there at all. Great set of threat pedals in terms of that. There's no flex through the pedals as well, which is important. Now you might notice if you're eagle-eyed and you see the first set of footage I captured, it looks like the pedal plate's lifting up a bit. That's because I'm an idiot and I forgot to fasten down the front screws. I only had it mounted to the 2 screws at the back. Turns out if you actually mount it down as intended with all 4 screws, it's a lot more stable. So yeah, lesson for me there being a muppet. But I fixed that and went back to testing it, and just overall really good feel to the pedals. In terms of the application of braking, which is the most important thing of course I think of any set of pedals, this is very much a 2-stage type process. You've got the spring that I showed you before along with the little elastomer that fits inside the spring. So what you get is very much like an initial spring force resistance, which to be honest doesn't really apply a huge amount of pressure onto the load cell. So you're getting kind of a soft resistance movement into the stiffer resistance point of the elastomer, which is when the force starts to be applied. If you're used to a pedal setup that has a spring and an elastomer type combination, then that's going to be really familiar for you. If you're coming from a setup with just a spring, you're going to notice a massive improvement. But if you are used to a pedal set that's just made up of 2 stiff elastomers, then you're going to find it a bit strange to have that initial sort of lighter resistance feel from the spring. I'm used to that because I actually quite like my pedals set up with a bit of play to begin with and then a stiffer resistance point towards the end. It helps me modulate the amount of pressure I'm putting in there. So overall, great for me. And I think for most users will find that experience to be really positive as well. It's perhaps just the more experienced racers who just have very stiff elastomer setups. But to be fair, the P500's aren't really targeted at that market anyway, so I don't think that's a problem. In terms of what I look for in any set of pedals, it's how easily can you find those predefined braking points consistently. So if you're thinking like a 20% braking application for like a trail braking scenario, through to say like a 50% for a traditional sort of mid-level corner, through to how can I apply like 80 to 90% of brake pressure consistently so I'm not locking up the tires, but I'm bringing the car to a rapid halt from coming down from a straight into a tight corner. So what I found is after about 10 to 15 laps, I was able to find those 3 brake zones really quite consistently and quite easily. It was kind of a natural feel in terms of the elastomer and how it felt to find those 3 tight braking positions, and I could push the brakes a little more when I needed to try and get that extra sort of 5 or 10% closer towards the max point of my tires locking up. So overall, actually really good experience. I was able to get, in terms of running around Bathurst in a V8, I was able to get consistently pretty close to my traditional personal best lap times within about half an hour of trying, which is pretty good for any new set of pedals. Overall, just highly recommended from me on the feel of these P500s, so that's cool. Why don't we now jump up and let's see how they stack up in more detail against their big brothers, the P1000's. Let's now address how do the P500s stack up against the P1000's. Both sets of pedals are fully compatible with the two haptic pedal reactor options from Simagic. You've got the HPRs, the original haptic pedal reactors, and then you've got the newer haptic pedal reactor Neos. Both the Simagic P500s and the P1000's will accommodate both, and they both come with a built-in control box for both as well, so there's no problems there. In terms of adjustability, you do have the 4 springs that I covered off earlier that you can adjust the feel of the throttle and the brake in the P500s, along with the additional single elastomer that can be inserted into the cylinder for the brake to provide additional resistance at the end. Those are kind of your customization options, and I think what you'd do is you'd play around a bit and you'd find a feel that you were comfortable with and then just go with it. What the P1000's offer over the P500 is definitely a lot more customization flexibility, as well as of course the option to upgrade to hydraulic brake and hydraulic throttle options for the P1000's. Really give this pedal set a much more customizable and a much higher level of flexibility in terms of how it feels and how it responds for you than the P500's. And that's what you'd expect, right? The P500's are designed to be a more entry-level setup. They're not designed to be quite as customizable and flexible as the P1000's, which makes sense. In terms of feel, both pedal sets feel great. They both operate the same 100 kilogram load cell, so you're going to be able to get the same level of responsiveness out of each set of pedals, which is really cool. As I mentioned earlier, when I compared the look, the P1000's are obviously a much taller pedal. The P500's are a little bit shorter profile. So if you've got bigger feet, this one might feel more natural to you. Again, you can adjust the angle of the P500 pedal plates to make it feel just right for you. What you do get though is a pressure point, I guess, on your foot that's just a little bit lower down your foot with the P500. Some people will prefer that. Some people prefer more of a pressure point that's slightly higher based up where your toes are, or the ball of your foot. That's where the P1000's will come into their own. In terms of the throttles, both pedals have a similar range of throw actually, and the springs that come by default with the 500 feel great also. So overall, I think they're kind of equivalent on that front. Okay, so that now begs the question of if you're looking to jump into the Simagic ecosystem with a set of pedals, which should you go for, the P500's or the P1000's? Look, I think ultimately let your budget decide. If your budget can accommodate the P1000's, then definitely go this way because you're really going to appreciate the additional customization and the flexibility that this modular pedal set provides. Both the ability to upgrade to hydraulics on the brake and the throttle, the ability to change the way the pedals look, and the additional detail that you can put into tweaking the feel of the brake system in particular are real benefits of the P1000's. If you're trying to keep costs down and you're looking for a low-cost entry into the system, that's exactly where these new P500's come into play. This is a robust, great-looking set of pedals that provides an easy entry into the ecosystem. It gives you an excellent level of feel with a 100 kilogram load cell. It gives you some ability to customize the brakes, so you'll definitely be able to find a setting that you're comfortable with. You get excellent responsiveness from the throttle and the clutch, and the ability to customize both a 2-pedal and a 3-pedal set, and of course the ability to add the Simagic haptics onto these pedals out of the box as well. The addition of the new wall bracket provides an interesting element for you if you're mounting these under a desk environment. It gives you additional level of rigidity that you can attach to the wall if your use case permits. And this pedal is going to last you a long time. They're going to feel great out of the box, and it's something that you can evolve with and scale as you proceed down your sim racing journey. Right, so final thoughts on the P500 pedals from Simagic. I think Simagic have really hit it out of the park with this new addition to their lineup. They've plugged a gap in their lineup in terms of that low-cost entry-level pedal point by providing a set of pedals that's packed full of technology, gives you the ability to add haptics right out of the box with the inclusion of the control box built into the pedal base. These pedals feel great. Having a 100 kilo load cell is a lot more than you'd expect from a pedal at this price point. They have a super responsive throttle and enough customization options that you'll be able to get the brake feeling just how you like it. And of course with the P500's you get all the benefits of the robust ecosystem of the Simagic Simpro Software, which allows you to customize the feel and the functionality of these pedals as well. So check out your local Simagic dealer in terms of finding out when these are available in your market. For you Aussies, check out Player One Sim Gear. We have the listings up shortly along with the pre-order availability and the pricing at launch. A big thanks to Simagic for firing these through to us to allow us to check them out early. As always, thanks so much for checking out our video. I've been Neil, this is Player One Sim Gear. Please do the like and subscribe thing down below. It means the absolute world to us and really helps our channel grow. If you've got any more questions about the Simagic P500's, let us know in the comments section below. We'll make sure that we respond to those straight away. Stay tuned, there's a bunch of new content coming down the line. We really appreciate you being here. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.